Welcome back to The Power and the Glory. Today's scripture is taken from the book of John, chapter 14, verse 9. As it's Father's Day in Australia, a big shout out to all Aussie dads, of which I'm one. Have a great day. By the way, please like, share, and subscribe. It does help with the Google algorithm, and thank you very much to my existing subscribers. I do appreciate your ongoing support. I'll read the scripture now. Have I been with you all this time, Philip, and you still do not know me? Jesus asked him. The person who has seen me has seen the Father. So how can you say, show us the Father? So here we're dealing with probably the world's ultimate father-son relationship. In fact, definitely the ultimate relationship between God the Father and his Son, Jesus Christ. Now, by way of context, the verse comes during Jesus' final discussion with his disciples before the crucifixion, after Philip asked Jesus to show them the Father. Jesus then advises them that in seeing him and witnessing his works, they've already seen the Father. So digging into the scripture in a little bit more detail, whoever has seen me has seen the Father. So Jesus says here that if you've seen me, you've seen and experienced God by nature, God by will, spirit, nature, and achievements. He is equating himself effectively with his own Father in power, disposition, and character. So if anybody ever asks you where Jesus claims to be God, John chapter 14, verse 9 is your go-to verse to revert to. So Jesus' statement shows that God and him are both one and the same and have the equivalent mindset and also an equivalence in power, spiritual power. No one, by the way, had ever seen God in the flesh until Jesus. God had been, up to that point in time, invisible practically to all those in the Bible. In fact, no one had been allowed to look upon God for fear of their own life. God had forbidden it in the Old Testament. So Jesus became a much more relatable version of God in the Bible, in the New Testament, because he was of flesh and bone. Jesus then is an example of God's divine plan, pure and simple. Jesus' presence in his disciples' midst, already accepting that he was of equivalent standing to God in power, hinted that he was on earth to complete a very important divine mission. So in summary, Jesus is saying that the nature of his character and achievements are a perfect representation of the true nature of God. He is God in flesh. While he's not God the Father, here Jesus is equating himself with his own Father in his standing. He is stating that he is equivalent in power and disposition to God and his actions, will, and character. So this gives people a clear insight into the very heart and mind of God himself.